What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, and it is my pleasure to speak to new Matchroom boxing welterweight prospect, bronze medalist in the Paris Olympics, Omari Jones. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. It's a pleasure to get an opportunity to speak to you. Um, I gotta ask you, man, like, and I know you've answered this question, so I'm gonna try to ask it to you in a different way.
Okay.
Because I know you've answered this question like 175 times. But when you chose Matchroom Boxing, I've heard you talk about you wanted to stay busy and you wanted to
Mhm.
make sure you felt like that was the fight or that was the organization that would keep you busy enough. But was there a moment, right, that you saw something you experienced with Eddie, something you saw with other Matchroom boxers that you were like, that was the moment when it clicked, like, I felt like I vibe with that.
Yeah, I feel like it was, I'll say our initial meeting. Like I said, he came to me and we sat down and had coffee right after in Paris, and he hit me up immediately and we talked, texted, and then we met again in Vegas at the Canelo fight. So I was like, okay, like he's someone that has a lot of interest with me if we're meeting again and discussing over our plan. And we had to go over a different offer because it's a lot of negotiations. And
Yeah.
then we met one more time in Philadelphia at the Jaron Boots in this fight. And I feel like from that point on, I saw the show that he put on for Jaron Ennis in Philly. And he told me March 15th he wanted to do the same thing with me in Orlando, Florida, and we're here now.
Yeah. So you say it was like the what you felt like was a sincere interest in you and
Exactly.
building you is what kind of got it, you know.
Exactly. He had a whole plan for me.
Yeah, that's really good. I think, especially recruiting, and especially when you talk about individual sports and not team sports, when you approach an athlete that way, especially a young athlete, who is starting off and now they're understanding that they're getting started on a nice platform. So obviously it's his first professional fight, so it's kind of silly to talk about like too many things down the road and who do you have on your I mean in my thoughts, I'm like, man, he's getting rounds in at this point. It's work time.
Yeah.
But when you look at your plan, though, has there been a discussion about we see you potentially contending by this time? Has that been a part of the conversation, or is it just entirely preliminary?
Yeah, right now it's I would say it's just fight by fight because we're still in the building process. This process I would say is a little bit different from the amateur background. The amateur background, I had to fight the best of the best regardless of what day and things like that. Now we can kind of pick who we want to fight and build off of that. And when it's time for me for that big match or for the belts or I'll be ready for it for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. So right now, who is your manager? Because we know that like Eddie is the promoter there and
Right.
he with Matchroom, but who's your manager currently?
Right now, it's my father.
Okay, okay,
Mhm.
okay, got you. So is that something that you are thinking about, like in the future, you might say, hey, I might want to, link up with the Keith Connollys, the Peter Kahns of the world, some of the biggest managers in the game. And you look at what Connolly's doing with certain fighters like Berlanga, and you look at what Khan is doing with people like Xander Zayas who also has a great amateur background. Do you see yourself maybe moving in that direction?
I feel like if it's a genuine relationship, I have a good relationship with a manager right now. We haven't made things official at the moment, but for me, it's just about being genuine, and everybody on my team has been with me from the beginning, and that's how I want to keep it.
Yeah. I mean, knowing, especially early on, man, knowing you're knowing that everybody that's around you is locked in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see that as being definitely very important, especially early. So when you look at what's going on with the welterweight division right now, right? Um, Before we just saw, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney agree to come up to fight at 147. When you assess like the 147 division now, who are some of the people that you look at and go, man, like, okay, those guys are elite now. I wonder, will they be there by the time I escalate the competition? Who are some of those guys?
Absolutely. I look at guys like Jerron Ennis, Mario Barrios. I know eventually Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia will be up there because, they just keep going up in weight. So those are guys I look at and I'm like, okay, they're skillful, and when it's time for me, hopefully the opportunity presents itself when I feel like I'm ready and I feel like I can compete with the best.
Yeah. And so, like, without getting into like specifics of details and things like that, who are some of the people that you have already had a chance to spar with?
I sparred, well, I can say I sparred with a lot of people. Tevin Farmer. I
Mhm.
sparred with Keyshawn Davis to get him prepared for the Olympics. I sparred with Tiger Johnson. Um, I have a long list. I
Yeah.
have a long
Yeah.
list, but that's just with Troy Isley. I have
Hmm.
a few names that I can go on and on and on with,
Hmm.
especially overseas because during the Olympics, I had a lot of overseas sparring,
Hmm.
and some of those guys are stepping into the professional realm too. So I have a ton of lists of those guys as well.
Yeah. Now, in regards to like outside of the United States,
Yeah.
which country of fighters have you like had an opportunity to spar with, maybe even fight when you're in the Olympics that you were like, man, like a lot of these guys are nice.
Yeah.
Like, is there a specific country that stands out to you in that way?
I wouldn't say a specific country,
Hmm.
but it's a lot of talented teams. You have, the Great Britain team that I sparred multiple of their guys, been to their camps. Cuba, been in
Hmm.
and around with Cuba, a lot of South American countries. Um, me and Nashant Dev fought, and he just had his debut. So,
Hmm.
Eddie Hearn was kind of teasing that at the fights. So yeah, man, I feel like my pro career is going to be exciting.
Yeah, I asked that because I've been hearing a lot about the Uzbekistan fighters.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, like so Israel Madrimov and a
Okay.
couple of the fighters in that camp. And
Yeah.
maybe it's the divisions a couple higher than where you are. Maybe it's like 154 and
Mhm.
160, or maybe that's where it is. But I've been hearing a lot about them, and I was wondering if you had any experience, maybe even sparring or even in the Olympics, so you had an opportunity to compete with them. But
Yeah,
um,
I competed against Uzbek in the bronze medal match, but
right, okay,
yeah, he
right.
wasn't. Yeah.
Right. And of course, clearly you won that fight because you
No, no, no.
got
And oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
felt like I won, but it is what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. So that's the thing about it. Like when you look at the Olympic fights, right? And the judging system is so different.
Yeah.
Um, we go back, you look at people like Floyd Mayweather, I believe it was in 96.
Hmm.
Everybody felt like, whoa, what's going on? I think an even more clear version of what we felt like that was Roy Jones in 88. We were like, this is crazy. How in the world did he not win this fight?
Absolutely.
What was your, because obviously you came into this aware of that, right? You came to Olympics aware that the judging is different. How did you kind of try to prepare yourself for that?
I actually couldn't, but I felt like everyone else around me kind of, knew from the
Hmm.
outside looking in because they're looking at the scorecards and things on the outside, but I'm just the person in the ring. And I
Hmm.
could tell kind of by everybody's reaction when you go through the fight round by round. They're just like, how is this happening? But
Yeah.
I'm right and when I'm in the match, I'm just in the moment, doing my best to bring home a gold medal for my country. And
Yeah.
experiencing that even after the fight, a lot of the commentators and interviewers, they were even kind of surprised that I didn't get I didn't get the win because they didn't know what he like they just asked what did he do? to
Yeah.
affect you. But like I said, I didn't want any excuses. I let everybody else say their opinion, and I just let my continue. I'm just going to continue to let my work speak for itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got, I would say two more questions that I
Oh
would
yeah,
ask.
you good. Take your
Yeah. That
time.
one. Yeah. So one is we see a lot of fighters today who they take on the self-marketing concept, right? And they're brash, they're on social media, they're doing this, they're doing that. There's nothing about you that comes off like that's your style. And depending on who you are, like for me personally, I feel like it's refreshing because it's like Omari's not getting out of his body for this. Like he ain't gonna do it for the gram. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? He's not gonna do that.
Right.
So what do you think about that though? Because down the road, there's probably going to be some level of a pull to be like, oh, like and I'm gonna tell you right now, like, what do you do if you're hearing people say, well, Mari boring. He don't, he don't like, Javante, he get like this, or this person gets like this. So what's your answer to that kind of thing?
My answer, honestly, I'm just gonna continue to be me. I feel
Mhm.
like it also depends on the opponent as well. It's like if you have somebody in the weigh-in talking and trying me, then you might see Omari talk a little bit, you know? But for as like acting out on Instagram and like flexing money and things
Mhm.
like that, that's just not me,
Yeah.
I always going to continue to put God first and keep my morals no matter how much money or fame I get.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'll be honest, like honestly, for me personally, like, I feel like that's refreshing. Like to each their own, everybody do what they do. But if that's not you, like I hate it when I feel like I see a fighter begin to like try to do that because they think that that's how they have to be. That's kind of like, it's kind of crazy. So when you look at like what you've done as an amateur and everybody that people know you for that, right? What is it about your game that you feel like is better than people think, or better than people have given you credit for based off of what they saw in the amateurs?
Well, I kind of feel like when they step into the ring with me, a lot of fighters talk about my how good my IQ is and my range, and I feel like on the outside looking in, they can look at that like, oh, that's easy, and then we get in the ring and spar or fight. It's like, oh, okay, he's not as touchable or
Mhm.
um, as easy as I thought he would be. So I feel like I have a lot of different tools, my jab, my right hand can go to the body good. Just, I feel like I'm a fighter that can mix and match and become a boxer puncher.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I'll be honest. I kind of see like what you were saying that it's a little bit like almost like how what I see with Richardson Hitchens.
yeah,
Um, I had talked to him a little while ago. I was talking about how good of a judge of space and distance that he is. Um, it like against I don't know, did you see the fight with Paro?
yeah. I saw clips of it.
Okay. In that fight, it felt like there were moments where Paro thought he should be able to touch him, but he
Right.
couldn't. Do you find yourself kind of like you're able to do that to opponents?
I feel like I am. I have great footwork, great movement, a great jab. So when it comes to distance and hitting and I get hit, I can do that. But I know when it comes to the professional game, it's about entertainment. So I have to do all that and entertain. A lot of people kind of compare me to like the nowadays the Sugar Ray Leonard. So
Yeah, yeah,
um but I just want to continue to stay in my own lane and, you know,
yeah.
continue my path.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny like you mentioned Sugar Ray Leonard. One thing about Sugar Ray Leonard, and like I grew up watching him, is that
Hmm.
Sugar was smooth and stylish and quick, but he was nasty too.
Oh yeah.
Like if you got hurt, if Sugar hurt you, you got finished. Do
Yeah,
you feel like you have that same finishing instinct?
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I feel like I have that. In the amateurs, um, like I said, it's a sprint. You only have 3 rounds to work. Now I have a little bit more time, sit down on my punches, adjusting kind of to the pro game. Sorry for the noise.
No, you good.
Adjusting to the pro game and things like that. So you gonna see a new bag
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah, man. I'm gonna tell you, I'll be honest, Omari, like before I talk to you, I always talk to people in the industry and the sport that just kind of like, especially if it's the first time I ever talked to them, every single person that I talked to about you said that is a one really nice, good kid. And it's really dope, like when your reputation precedes you in that way. And I can concur that everything I've gotten from you today just pretty much aligns with what everything everybody said. I can understand why so many people were trying to sign you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's the fighters out here that do this and they do that, but it's also kind of got to be pretty cool to get a fighter who's going to be good, and you also don't got to worry about them all the time with this and that. So talk a little bit about, and this is my last question, how that feels. Does that feel like pressure to you? Does it feel like a blessing? Is it both?
I definitely feel like it's a blessing.
Mhm.
Um, Man, for a lot of promoters to come to me and reach out, it's obvious that they, see something in me
Mhm.
to make me a superstar.
Mhm.
So to have that, it's a testament to my character and how I came up, my morals, my parents. So it's just how I was raised here in
Mhm.
Orlando.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, and for them to see that and to see my worth, man, uh, it's nothing but a blessing.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. Okay, so I lied. One last question.
Go ahead,
One
man.
last question.
Take
I
your time.
gotta ask you, have you played Undisputed, the boxing video game?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Because I
Nah,
wanted to find out like if you well, are you a gamer at all?
nah, I stopped games like 10 years ago.
You stopped games like 10 years. Well, I feel bad, Omari, because I'm old. I'm way older than you. I ain't stopped. I'm gonna play a little bit later today. I'll play a little bit later today. But no, it's interesting because I wanted to find out if you if they anybody want to talk to you yet about being added to the game because new fighters are getting added all the time.
That'll
And
be
it'd be
nice.
dope, right though?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah.
nice.
That'd be pretty dope. But yeah, man, that's all I got for you, bro. It was an absolute pleasure getting the opportunity to talk to you. I pray and hope that everything continues to go great for you. I'm sure it will. And I'm looking forward to getting the chance to watch you. It's March 15th, Orlando, Florida, correct?
Yes,
That's the
sir.
pro debut.
Thank you.
March what? I'm sorry.
March 15th. Yep.
March 15th. Yep. All right. And that's dope. So I really appreciate it, man. And hopefully we get a chance to talk again.
Thank you. Hopefully I see you there.
Hey, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna definitely try.
All right.
I'll definitely try.
That's good. Thank
All right,
you.
bro.
Thanks,
Have a good one.
everyone.